Namaste. I posted recently a photo, a drawing of how I see the chaos in the mind when it's being seen from a compassionate framework. And I made reference to Lacan's registers of apperception of the world in psychoanalysis. And I want to do a talk on this and link it to the Yoga Sutras. And I want to start with a personal story about my own process. I don't know if all of you know, I studied in an ashram for 5 years, and I was a yogini, a nun there, and this was a jnana yoga ashram in which self-knowledge is highly emphasized so that we can perceive reality accurately and create a community based on these principles of yoga, and yoga as a discipline of the mind to unite the limited self with the vastness of reality. So my first week at the ashram, we started my own training in psychoanalysis, and I was really nervous because I had done one-on-one therapy, but I had never done psychoanalysis, and I was actually quite afraid, and I hadn't really, I knew that I was kind of messed up, but I really didn't know how to even begin to talk about it. I grew up in a really loving family. However, I had my own traumas and then a lot of rigidity from later in childhood, and everything that happens in schools, and just judgments that begin to harden oneself. But the scope was quite limited in my own little mind, and I really didn't even know how to begin to speak about what was in my head, and I was 18, and I go to my first session, and it's important to clarify that in the training that we do, there's a dense amount of reading and informational thirst. We study a lot of different threads that bring wisdom to understand reality and the self. Particularly in psychoanalysis, is quite broad, so it's not just only one thread of psychoanalysis, it's multiple, because there's not one paradigm that can fit every single individual. We're all unique with unique needs, and so Lacan was just a snippet, and then there's plenty of other readings. In any case, I had a curiosity for psychoanalysis, but I had never practiced it. So I come to my first session, and I'm so nervous, and I realize I'm being so selfish trying to speak from my mind. And I tell my therapist that I feel so selfish talking about myself, that I don't want to do this work. All I want to do is meditate, and I don't want to look inside, because there's so many things happening outside in the world, environmentally, politically, geographically, even now in quarantine, right? There's so much going on in the world that I feel my own petty narratives are just that, petty. And she was so compassionate, and she told me, Prema, the reason why these things are happening in the world is because the people that are in control didn't take a look at themselves internally. Oh my God, and that really took me on a journey of okay, give it to me, let's do the work, let's really purify what's happening inside, because it really is the responsibility of each one of us, our mental health, right? And to have the support of these practices and tools that deepen our connection within. And the purification, it's kind of bloody, but it's also to get to the heart, right? To get to the core of love where meaning lies. So you go through all these like deconstruction of meaning and identity in order to really rest in hridaya, the heart within the self. And reflecting on this, I wanted to share with you from the Yoga Sutras 5 obstacles that we have to get to this heart center that I was talking about. Each one of us has it, I have it, and these are obstacles due to our mind. And that's why yoga is a discipline of the mind, and why we need to sharpen our weapons in order to understand reality and come always back into center and help others do the same as well. So that's the work of one-on-one sessions as well, is arriving to deeper and deeper layers of the heart. So in the sutras, Patanjali calls it as the 5 obstacles to proper apperception. So what is apperception? We see information in the world. Everything is information. Quantum physics has proven that right. And we have the possibility to tap into the information via our senses and allow it to impact our subjective personal experience, and from there allow it to transform our own individual awareness, and from that transform the world. But there's 5 obstacles to properly understand, and this is because of the sensor and because of the time of my IGTV, because I'm limited to 15 minutes. Then I will do a separate video on the ego structure at a different moment. If that is of interest to you, please let me know. And so the mind has a filter called a sensor that blocks, literally censors what information comes in and what information goes out. It's like a permeable membrane. Again, more on that in another video if you wish. But there's 5 obstacles to properly apperceive reality. So first is pramana, and pramana means right knowledge. It's kind of paradoxical, because you really do want to have the right knowledge in order to understand reality, but also when you identify with that knowledge and you think like, oh, this is the correct information, I know what I'm talking about, and all other perspectives are just pitiful, then you're blocking yourself from everything else that is available. There's larger and larger and larger frames of reference always available for you to expand and cohesively interpret the world. It's like it happens worldwide, like this is the correct religion, all the other religions are not true. Each one has a different facet to give to the beautiful banquet of life. Or this paradigm is weird, I don't want to deal with it, you know? Or like so many little things that we don't know and we judge because we think we do know. It's blocking us, you know, from receiving some kind of nectar. And when we judge, it's always like missing out, you know, on what we're judging. So when we identify, when we have that tendency of identification with information, we're blocking other information that is available. And then we miss out on reality. The second obstacle is viparidaya. Viparidaya is misconception. So not only do we think we have the right knowledge, but we also think we understand it correctly. Big trap. It's humility, always. Humility and openness to the feedback that the world is giving us. It's always space to sharpen the tools. The third obstacle is vikalpa. Vikalpa is verbal delusion, the power of speech creates, you know. And Martina Siska, whom I mentioned in the video about Ayurveda, she talks about 3 different layers of speech, which I'll go into in a different video. But to touch on it on the basis, we can speak from our throat superficially. You're beautiful, this was nice, beautiful dinner, Or we can use the throat as an expression of the heart, so we are in relationship to what we are saying. And you feel it, right? You feel when you're talking from the heart, you really do. And the third level is from the hara, from your belly speech. You're actively engaged, grounded, feeling it, boom, you manifest, yeah? It's not that word vomit, that was addressed. And when there's verbal delusion is when we're not really grounded in speech. The fourth is nidra, and you may have heard about yoga nidra, the yoga of sleep. It's different, but nidra means sleep. So when we are asleep, we miss out on reality, and it doesn't mean don't sleep. Of course, do sleep and get proper restful sleep. It means when you are living as if you were asleep. When we're in zombie mode, automatic, we're not actively listening, we're not actually engaging, we're missing out on the juice of reality and of the other that is offering at the present moment. Because in order for all of this to express its magic, you really have to be present, open, and really allow and recognize. And it's so beautiful to let it be. And the fifth one is mritaya. Mritaya is memory, and this is a really important one because memory can be quite positive. Like, I have the memory of these teachings from the ashram, therefore I'm doing this video, right? But the identification with memory, it's what creates the problem. Because we judge the world and the other and ourselves, most importantly, based on a memory pattern. And when we see the world through that filter of the past, we're limiting the present moment from expressing itself in the most beautiful way. This is quite a responsibility when you take this perspective, because you consciously choose to take away the prejudgment, the preconception, I know she's gonna totally do that, or oh my god, this always happens, I'm never gonna find parking space, I'm never gonna be friends with this person, I'm never gonna do the right speech, I'm never gonna do the class in this center that I want, I'm never gonna be able to do this or that or that or that, based on memory of something that happened. Therefore limiting, therefore untrue, because our nature is freedom based on our limitations, right? Internal freedom. So mritaya is this conditioning that we put to the other, the world, and ourselves based on prior experience, which is the tendency that we all have. It is normal, but if you choose to have a mental discipline, you can always choose to have that present awareness and say, you know what? I'm not going to see this way now. I'm going to be open to whatever happens. And even if there's a tainted, a tainted memory pattern, you can choose to see that and try to remove the identification with it. The mind has the capacity to focus on one thing only. You can't have two thoughts at the same time. You can switch from one thought to the other, but your mind is a focused entity, yeah? So you better choose, right, which thought you want to focus on. And so I'm gonna end this video with two tools in order to deal with this information. One is abhyasa, and that's the focused effort. Can we really sustain the effort to look in the direction that we want to go with heart so that we can arrive there? And the second one is vairagya, and vairagya comes from viveka, so discernment and detachment go together, because it's always a co-creation with the principles of life. So I'm gonna leave it here. It's a lot of information, but do let me know if you want to go deeper into this. I'll be happy to do more videos. I hope you have a wonderful week. Namaste. Thank you for watching.